Okay, hi folks, welcome back for another update on the Sea MAX NANO. So we're just into February now. It's been a tough month, January, obviously with Christmas, get hit hard with Christmas. Obviously it's a very expensive time of year, and for me in January it's both of my kids' birthdays, and this week it's been another hit for me. My wife's BMW had to have a big service, new battery, it had a running issue as well, so it had to go to a BMW specialist and have that rectified, which is another big bill. So yeah, it's been tough. What we're trying to get the Nano spec to how we want it. We're nearly there with it. This video I'm just going to be covering what mods we've done to it, the little upgrades we've done, and little tips for any of you guys out there that have got a Max Nano or thinking about getting a Sea MAX Nano. These are little things that I've done to this system to suit my needs and how I want to run it. So yeah, I'm just going to run through everything I've changed on it. The tank's going really well. So it's been running now since the 1st of January, so we're just into February now, so just over a month, and all is well. The two little clownfish have settled in lovely, got good appetite, and yeah, everything's doing really good. Parameters wise, we'll see, it's been cycled now for a few weeks, and I'm just trying to get the nutrients down. Our nitrates are at, I think yesterday I tested at 9 ppm. So until we can get that down to sort of 1 to 2 ppm, obviously we won't be introducing any corals, and obviously once I've got the nutrients down, and we're going to be all over the alkalinity and the calcium, getting that really balanced. I think the alkalinity is about 9.5 DKH, so yeah, we're going to get onto that after we've managed the nutrients. We're on 10% water change-ish a week, but no poxes seems to be kicking in now, and it's starting to rapidly drop the nitrate levels. So I'm hoping, I haven't tested today yet, but I'm hoping over the next few days we should get sub 5 ppm reading. So yeah, once we've got that under control, we will start adding some corals, but before then, hopefully the weekend, if I can find the right another addition fish wise to go in here, maybe one, may go two extra fish, we'll see. So hopefully in the next video you'll see what fish I went for. So let's get the camera off the tripod and run you through what we've upgraded. The first thing I want to talk about is a thing that I had to consider with this tank is a top, a lid, cover, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely a must. We don't want these little clowns jumping out or whatever else fish stock we put in here. So, and do you know what? This is the worst thing. I hate lids, covers, tops on tanks. But the beautiful thing about these Red Sea reefer systems, or this tank, the Max Nano, is the rimless, coverless top. You get this really nice beveled edge glass edge with a nice ripple in water. They just look awesome. But practicality wise, you know, fish do jump. You might go 6 months, you might go a year without nothing jumping. But I've had a couple of jumpers before with my little M40 nano tank open top, and with my Red Sea Reefer 250 I had, I think, a 6-line RAS jump. So yeah, it does happen, and it's a big no-no really. You've got to cover the tank. It usually happens at night. So anyway, cover wise, you've got a couple of options with this Max Nano. The first option being go custom top from somewhere like Reef Tops, is a popular little company that made custom built acrylic tops for these. Now that's going to be what's going to be put in on this tank. And prices wise for this, I've got a quote from Reef Tops, it's about £80. And you're looking at a couple of weeks for it to be made, which is a bit annoying. You have to wait. Again, custom made, obviously it's going to be made, and there's a queue of people. The other option as well is to go with Red Sea's reef net cover. Now when these first came out, I was probably one of the first to say, oh my god, you've got to make it yourself. They are a DIY kit. I hate anything you've got to make yourself. I like to get it out the box, let's get it on the tank, and we're up and running. I'm good at making stuff, but yeah, I just thought, oh no, I'm not going for those. I don't want to have to be making it. But after thinking long and hard, the Red Sea one is good because it's so cheap. It's like 35 quid for this size tank, and obviously because you've got to make it yourself, that's what cuts the cost down, manufacturing costs, etc. And you hear nightmare stories online of everyone saying, oh, I ended up ditching it, ended up putting it in the bin, really hard to do, blah 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 blah. Of course it put me off a bit anyway. So I thought the good thing with the Red Sea one though, which I really like, is opposed to the reef tops one or custom made one. The custom made ones are an acrylic lid that actually sits on top of the rim of the glass all the way around. The nice thing with these Red Sea ones is they're actually made so they sit inside the tank, and there's these tiny little plastic tabs, which I'll show you in a minute, that you can place wherever you like, that just sit on top of the rim, so you still see the really nice glass beveled edges. So I thought, do you know what, let's take the plunge, let's get the Red Sea one, let's attempt to make it. Now, bearing in mind this is on a day when I was proper stressed out anyway. My wife's BMW was in the garage, I was expecting a massive bill from that. So I dropped that off, come back, got the wife to help me. As they say, you need 4 hands on these DIY Red Sea tops. Tried the first time. The mistake I made is we pulled the net far too tight, and as you're splining in the piece of rubber that holds the net all the way around the rim, as you're pushing it down, snap, 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 the net's snapping as you're putting it in. So my little tip for that is, if you're making your own, just obviously pull it taut but not too tight, so you can ease it in nicely. You definitely need 2 people. It is a bit of a nightmare, but if you're good with cutting stuff, you can measure accurately, measure twice and cut once. You'll be fine if you're good at making stuff. So the first time we did it, we snapped all the net as we was pushing it in. The second time round we got it. Luckily in the box you get enough netting to do it 2, 3 or 4 times anyway. But on the second attempt we got it really nice. I'm really happy with that actually. It wasn't too bad. So I'm glad I went that route. I love the look of it. Although having said that, when people are around of an evening or whatever, or for filming purposes, you can just whip it off, but most of the time it's on there. So that's the cover we went for. Let's just run through everything else that we've put on the tank so far. So we'd say we're nearly there with all our mods and upgrades with the tank. The only thing I have got to put on is a dosing system, but obviously it's early days yet, we don't need to dose yet until our SPS corals are in. So we're going to be all over the parameters with that. So, you know, a good doser using Red Sea's Reef Foundation is obviously a must. So I think that's the last thing on my list to do. I think we've done everything else. The system's running really nice now. I've had it, sort of a month or so of it running. We've tweaked it and tweaked it. I'm going to get the camera off the tripod and show you the upgrades. Okay. So the first upgrade, or say this is more of a modification actually, with this tank. Now obviously everybody's tank runs differently. I pretty much reckon this will be a problem for most of these Max Nanos though, is the overflow. Hopefully I can get this on camera quite well. It's a brilliant overflow, so it's really long, and it takes sort of half the tank's worth of surface scum over. And it's a really good design, apart from one thing. In the corner, I don't know if obviously people with these tanks will probably be able to relate to this, is that so the water comes into this tray just here. Now what I experienced is we got a lot of water dribbling down the side of the skimmer. If I can just point to that area just in there where the tray starts, the water level seems to be too high even with the standard pump, and and it overflows this edge here straight into the sump, and you don't want that. You want all the water going directly into the filter sock. So the way I rectified that, this is like two birds one stone sort of thing. I got a piece of plastic, heated it up and curved it, and we siliconed it in. I can't really show you without pulling everything out with one hand of the camera in my hand, but if I could just angle the light down, maybe you can see just there in the middle of the camera. You see that piece of plastic sort of arcing round. I've siliconed that in place, and that directs all the flow of the water down into the filter sock. Also put a small 6-inch ruler running along the side as well, just to make sure it doesn't go over the edge in the centre. The skimmer is sort of snug there anyway. But there's two problems with the skimmer noise, which I'll come on to next. This modification, which rectifies obviously the overflowing water, it also rectifies the noise from the skimmer, because most of the noise from the skimmer comes from two things. When you first fire it up when it's new, you get a lot of air intake noise, which over time that dampens right down as the skimmer beds in, and you've got sort of a bit of a bar load running. But the other, I've noticed, once that did quieten down, the other problem you've got with the skimmer noise is the vibration from the actual unit itself. Because what happens is it's just sitting in the sump, and it's sort of on the sort of rubber base platform, but it moves. There's a, you can move it about. It moves freely between the back of the tank and that overflow tray, and you get a lot of vibration from that. Now obviously putting that piece of plastic in and that ruler keeps it really tight and snug inside the rear chamber, and you get no vibration, and the skimmer is really quiet now. So that's a brilliant modification I recommend people do with the tank. Okay, so moving on, what we put in the tank is, in biological media wise, obviously we've got a real reef rock, but once that's encrusted with coral and coralline algae, it covers up a lot of the pores. So the effectiveness of filtering the water obviously is sort of borderline. So you need a bit of a backup, and I went for a load. I've basically packed all underneath the skimmer and up towards the next chamber 1.5 kilograms of BioHome Ultimate Marine Media, which is a sintered glass media. I'll show you, hopefully I can show you on the screen. These little tubes, they're not tubes, they're little media. And they're so porous, and they've also got sort of trace elements in there specifically designed for marine bacteria to thrive in and colonise nice. So that's what we've done with the rear sump, biological filtration wise. We've packed it full of that, so we've got loads and loads of filtration capacity there. And the next thing is, I don't know if you noticed, the ATO, Red Sea standard ATO on these Max Nanos. It's great that they include one for people that don't mind every day or so topping that little tank up, and it's a great little freebie addition to the tank, so you don't have to buy an ATO straight off the bat. But every day and a half I'm having to fill it up. It lasts about a day and a half. They say 2 to 3 days, but that's by the time the tank's empty and you've lost water out the rear chamber as well. Obviously it depends on where you live and your climate, your house and stuff, but I was finding it was going through 1.5 litres every sort of day and a half, so about a litre a day, 900 ml a day, and it's just getting frustrating having to fill that up every day. So, and obviously it uses up space here, which I'm going to use obviously for dosing rack and whatnot. So I went for a Dnd Osmollator Nano, which is that little module there, and that's just sitting down in this last chamber here, and down in the cabinet, if I can get the light on for you, we have our 30-litre container. So we're going to go that'll last at least a month without having to touch it, which is brilliant. This cabinet is just going to be for dosing. We're going to put our doser in here, our dose containers. And luckily my son was cleaning out his room and he no longer wanted this drawer unit, so he kindly gave it to me. I thought that'd be great, perfect next to the tank for all my bits and bobs that I use daily, you know, all your test kits and stuff, just easy accessible right next to the tank. Yeah, so moving on, so that's the mod for the ATO. So now we can relax on water top off. The next mod we have, returning the water back to the tank, is the standard return pump you get with the Max Nano. There's a good little pump, it's 950 litres an hour, and it's controlled by one of these little toggle switches at the top. I wanted to be able to control it via a separate controller, DC controller, and vary the flow. It's exactly how I want it, and obviously just on a touch of a button I can shut the pump off for feeding. So we went for the J-Cod. It's a DC 1200 and it's 1,000 litres an hour. We've got it cranked right up now and it's the perfect amount of flow. Very, very quiet. Having said that, the Red Sea one was very quiet as well, but I do like to put all my controllers on the side here and have controllability direct, sort of really easy to hand. Sorry, the other modification which I've mentioned before is the temperature. We've got a Dnd Temperature Controller here, hooked up to a 100-watt titanium heat bar, which is next to the skimmer, just there. Okay, so, and then returning back to the tank, you get the eyeball nozzle, standard with Red Sea Max Nanos, but I've added this high door spin stream. They don't call it a spin stream, I call it a spin stream, but I think they call it a water deflector. But that's a good little addition. They're only about 20 quid, and just, you know, directs the flow, return flow of the water all around the tank. And we've got our Dnd wave maker. It's a 60-40. I'm not sure if I'm keeping it exactly in this position yet, but we'll experiment with water flow around the tank and position it at different places. So that's that, and that's the controller. Okay, lighting wise, haven't really experimented with lighting yet. The lighting's all very, very low percentages at the moment, but so I need to find my own schedule for it. If I'm honest, I would have preferred to have a Kessel on this system. But so we're going to run with this AI and see how we get on with it with once the coral's in. But I do like Kessel, as you know from my previous tanks. But we'll see how we get on with this. But if we don't get on with it, we'll put a Kessel A160WE on it. How we're going to clamp it, I don't know. Obviously, this arm will come out. I might obviously have to clamp it sort of just on the right-hand side here and have a Kessel arm going over. But we'll see. Like I say, we'll run with this for a bit. So I don't think there's anything else to cover really. There's a few tips on modifications. Oh, the other thing, cleaning glass wise, first time I've been using this Dnd care magnet. It's the nano version. Really like it. Because of the Red Sea sand, it's very fine. When you go down, you can pick up, obviously, and scratch your tank with a normal conventional glass magnet, obviously flipper magnets and what. But the care magnet, if you do get a bit in, the contact on the glass is just by these two fins. Nothing else contacts the glass, so the risk of scratching is so low. So I wouldn't overly hopeful on whether I was going to like it, but I thought let's just try it. Everyone raves on about them, but yeah, really like it. Really impressed with it. A good little magnet that. I was going to buy the nano flipper, But no, we're going to stick with that. Clowns want feeding, so they're feeding really well. They're growing up. Sure, they've grown in a couple of weeks as well. And the cleaner shrimp, all good. So I'm loving my scape. Can't wait to start placing corals everywhere. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the video up. Obviously hit a like if you enjoyed the video. Any questions you've got, chuck them in the box below. I'll try and reply to everybody's messages. Obviously subscribe if you're new to the channel. Another thing is my son is also doing his own video updates on his nano reef. I'll show you that in one of my videos coming up next. But check his channel out. It's Aqua Boys Aquariums. So he goes through step by step in real detail how he's getting on with that. He's at exactly the same stage with his tank. We both kicked these both off at the same time, 1st of January. So yeah, check his channel out. It's Aqua Boys Aquariums. He's got a Fluval Evo 13.5, and yeah, that's looking really good. Okay, so till next time, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.